guys, I think we can go on. And for now, there is a panel, Monetizing and Growing Your Hyper-Casual Games in the Asian Market. So let me introduce our guests. It's Dmitry Sigov from Tenjin, also Jennifer Zhang from Nativex, Krystian Strauss from AdTiming. So I think, guys, we have plenty of questions. Also, I can invite the audience to ask your questions in chat, and we will be able to answer them also as soon as possible. So, guys, the first question is, just to start, tell us about yourself, your background, where you're working, and your experience with hyper-casual games in the Asian market. We are here to talk about monetizing and growing hyper-casual games in the Asian market. So I think, Jennifer, let's start from you, and then, guys, we'll go on.
Thank you, my honor. So hi everyone, it's Jennifer. I'm from Nativex, which is a China-based but global focus agency. And you may know like our mother company's ad network, Integral, so far quite popular in US. I previously worked in TikTok as partnership manager for 3 years in Central Europe. So the experience there helped me and helped some of my customers to go in China for the inbound China business. For example, like Boombit, GSmart, and also Genesis. So that's actually is the I would just say the hint for me that I want to start my career to do the business for the Asian market, for the hyper casual games, and also for different type of games to do their business in China. Yeah.
Okay, Krystian.
So hi everyone, I'm really glad to participate in this event. So my name is Krystian Strauss. I'm from Poland. I actually stayed more than 12 years in China, doing mobile games for quite some time. I worked at AdTiming, which is also an ad network, a global ad network platform. But recently, I've been working for our free accelerator program, AdTiming, that is actually supporting indie, small, and mobile developers actually to help them in self-publishing or either finding a publisher. So I help them anyway to succeed, and supporting all the mobile developers and to diversify the market and bring more opportunities to everyone. So we've been doing it in many different ways. Recently, also we've been doing some mobile games championship that you can win some awards like cash and also like publishing deals. So anyway, we still want to continue and support hyper casual games worldwide. That's it from me. And actually, from this speak, I think I'm going to be speaking like from perspective of these relatively small beginning teams, maybe something where I can help.
Great. Dmitry, what about you?
Yeah, so my name is Dmitry. I'm based in Berlin. I represent Tenjin. Probably you know Tenjin, it's a mobile attribution platform, and it's quite popular among hyper-casual game publishers because with us it's quite easy to test your prototypes. So actually I'm responsible for the Eastern European market and do work a lot with different hyper-casual and developers from Russia, Ukraine, Poland as well, so Belarus, Moldova, and some other countries. Previously, I was working at an ad network called AdCash, and I was creating some mobile games myself. Meanwhile, I'd like to say that we do work a lot with Nativex. We work with their company called Open China. So we actually promote many hyper-casual games in China.
As it's interesting. So I think we can go on with our questions. So the first question for you is, what differentiates the Asian markets from other markets, for example, the US, when it comes to growing the user base for a hyper-casual game? Let's start with Krystian.
Okay, sure. So Asia might be pretty scary for most of you developers, publishers. It's quite different, and it's much more diversified than let's say a Western market. But for hyper casual games, maybe some of the Asian markets like Korea or Japan or even China doesn't have a huge popularity of hyper casual games like United States have. Like you can say you can check it in the top 10 charts. But actually, and mid-core games and multiplayer games have higher popularity or bigger chunk of this market. But actually, I can see there is still like some possibilities, and the hyper casual games are more accessible or have a bigger influence in this market. Maybe there will be bigger opportunities for like hybrid casual games that should be more intact with the players that actually use that, or like maybe multiplayer hyper casuals that have a great engagement between the players. But on the other hand, there's also some countries like India, Indonesia, or Vietnam that have huge popularity of hyper casual games, right? And huge acceptance of the hyper casual games. It's very with the players that are there, which I guess it brings me to the conclusion that researching the market first and checking if this first, of course, I will push into I guess the countries that are more popular with hyper casual games and check how is it developing there. And then if you have a positive and good performance or data metrics, then I will try to find your in a bigger countries. I mean, like more expensive countries. That would be my input.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I can say that if we speak about Asian market, we are speaking about the biggest market in the world. So let's not forget it. Yeah, it's true that it's quite diversified, and we can speak a lot just about China. It can be a topic for a separate conference, probably. So market is huge, right? But at the same time, there are lots of opportunities, especially also for hyper casual game developers. So if we speak about countries like Japan or Korea, CPIs are quite often a bit higher than in the US. But at the same time, ad revenue can also be high. If we speak about China, well, Jennifer, I guess you can add later on. Same we see on our platform that CPI sometimes it's quite similar to the one in States. But at the same time, many hyper casual developers have higher ad revenue, even in China. So what if we're speaking about the whole Asian market, I'd say you cannot neglect it, right? So it's a huge market with huge opportunities, and you can earn a lot if you create a wonderful game. And many hyper casual nowadays are earning and profitable. We know that Azure Games started also to publish games in China. So I do work with many companies from Eastern Europe that are successfully publishing games. So it's a place to be. It's an interesting market. Yeah, I agree with Krystian. Probably sometimes it's not as, let's say, similar to the Western, but yeah, people also that you can find players, loyal players that like your game, and there are good ad networks that help.
Yeah, actually, I do quite agree with like what Dmitry and Krystian mentioned, like for the whole Asian market. From my side, actually, I want to add something, like especially for the China market. I would say like for the China market, it would be I observed the the market model would be slightly different regarding to different platform like Android and iOS. For China iOS market, I would say, except the local government policy, like maybe you all know, like the ISBN requirement, the IAP, those kind of game requirements, any of the copyright certificate needed for doing a paid media campaign, those kind of issue, which is really different from any other markets, because we all know, like, if we want to start the paid media in any other markets, such documents and requirements is not required. But for China market, it's different. So this is a really huge or crucial things that we need to focus on. However, for the China Android store or Android markets, it's another story, I would say, different from Google Play, because China has quite a lot Android stores, and they are sharing the whole Android market. And in China, the Android users are way more than iOS. And now it's still increasing. Like, we observed, like, Android users in China, and also in the whole, like, Asian markets, it's increasing, like, more and more than iOS users. So which means that no matter the organic growth on China Android stores or the paid media solution are quite important when acquiring the Chinese Android store. So this would be a crucial issue, like how we can explore, or how we can, find out the solution for the Android part. Like, because previously we think it's more easy that we can start with iOS, but now we need to think about how we can start also on Android, because that will be a crucial, like, revenue for all the, like, gaming publisher and developers. Yeah.
Nice. So I think, what about the next thing? Is there a certain theme of games that performs better in your experience? So Jennifer, go on if you're.
Cool. Actually, I do have a typical case, because I have really clear memory of that, which is a game from Rollick, or also from Zynga, called High Heels, that performed quite amazing last year. I would say last year. Yeah, it's purely hyper games, like with cartoon style and parkour related, and also I am one of the user of that app, of that game. And until now, like, this theme of type of games are still quite popular and welcomed, especially in China markets, and also in most of the Asian markets, no matter the Korean or even some, like, other markets like Singapore, like Thailand. And I do recall last year that this game, like Rollick, actually didn't officially start any paid media in China market. So which means the success of this game is actually not because of the paid media, not because of the user acquisition campaign. It's mainly because of the purely organic growth of that game. So this actually gave us some of the hints or ideas, like how they did that, and then what is the influencer market. Yeah, so this is actually my opinion of that specific theme of games. Yeah.
Well, I can add that, yeah, I also agree that some cartoony games are quite popular. At the same time, well, especially in China, I see that idle and clickers are not so popular as probably as in Western market. And again, I would like to underline that once you publish your game in China, you have access to the really huge market. So, and you will find players that will like your game if it's a quality one.
Okay. About the themes, yeah, there's I think there is still quite of, like, connection to the themes and maybe some cultures in Asia. A good example is, I don't know if you guys seen the Squid Game. It's very popular recently. As you know, there is some games popping, right, like left and right, about this type of game, which is really surprising, like how one Netflix TV show can influence the hyper casual market. And what I want to say, like, of course, I like it, and these games are pretty fun, let's say. But so any country that has Netflix will right away understand that thing, right? You can see in the United States, there's like top 10. We have like a couple of these games even right now. The same thing will be like you see like in India or like Vietnam, but actually in China, the Netflix there is not available. So and actually that Squid Game theme, it's not popular there. So what I want to say is not only you can see that maybe some cultural differences there will be, that maybe some hyper casual games will be popular there, but they're not, but also about the content that are accessible there. So this might also I think like, and for me it was pretty surprising when I see like one in Chinese market, one game called like Jinfeng Chajen, right? So it kind of means, it's very great example. It means like this 4 words means like kind of like it's an item, right, in Chinese, or like a saying, meaning using the opportunity as possible. But also they have direct translated to like look for a crack and put the needle there, right? And actually there's a hyper casual games that is pretty still popular, which is there's a round thing, and it's like you just shoot the pins, and you need to shoot the pins between other pins. You can shoot pin on pin. And I think this thing, it's not as much popular in different Western markets. And here we can see that some games might be very let's say can cross the cultural barrier, and they can be popular everywhere. But there are also some of these games that would be just specific for some market. So yeah.
Right. Any additions from Dmitry or Jennifer?
Well, I spoke with my colleagues from Japan, so I asked them this question. So what they shared with me is that in Japan, developers, they usually follow global tendencies, like with TV series and so on. For instance, recently there were some 3D games related, like 3D this, 3D that. And so yeah, that's also quite let's say a trend that developers follow there. So yeah, if we speak about Japan, again, what is working, let's say, for you in States or in the UK, there is a good chance that you'll find some loyal players there as well.
Okay, so let's continue talking about cultural differences. As most hyper-casual games are very visual, is localization important?
Well, we're speaking about hyper-casual games. So such games, like unlike midcore, you do not have to localize too much usually, right? And that's let's say a good opportunity for developers also in such let's say complicated market sometimes, right? So usually you do not have to translate a lot in case of hyper casual games, right? So just probably some basics. What you need to do is to translate your App Store or Google Play page. So here, yeah, you need to localize, probably to work a bit with ASO. But the game, the less words you have, the more success, probably the easier it will be for you to publish it anywhere and to work with it. But again, you will most probably need to translate the title and translate the description.
Yeah, I have the same idea. And I also think that the localization actually is the key of extending the lifetime of the game in the market. Like, because I had experienced it before that some games that they were quite popular in Western markets. And when they started the inbound, China activities, in the very beginning, maybe the awareness raised, actually they can get a really good cold start. And of course, they can also get a group of users quite obsessed with their game. However, like without the localization, the heat would soon drop. So this is actually quite crucial, like for extending the lifetime of the game. Still, the localization is quite essential. So they needed to make sure that all Chinese users can understand the game, and they would continuously like to participate. And also localization can also be a, how to say, good point when raising the topic or challenge. So maybe we can think about the next step, like not only for the paid media or normal user acquisition campaign, but maybe we are also searching for some other type of activities, maybe influencer marketing, maybe like some other like software commercial from those KOLs. Then the localization actually could be a great point and topic to be used. Yeah.
I actually, yeah, there's good points on both sides. Let's say I'm actually for localization mostly. Well, but it depends on your game, of course. The simpler it is, and if you just see it and you can understand it in many different cultures, then sure, definitely the localization will be needed. But what we can see from casual or hyper casual games, that even with localization done, they're more likely to be accepted by this market, and the overall performance is getting a little bit better. And yes, it can last a little bit longer. You can kind of understands the users. You have that connection with that game that understands you. You know, a very good example is that like in China, it was very funny for me that when you did something awesome, you know, they say they sometimes on the screen they write 666, like, you know, like we have in Western, like the devil man, but it actually meaning, you know, it's totally different. It's like six is Liu in Chinese, but it's actually very similar to Liu, which is great, awesome. And actually, when you say say Liu Liu Liu, it's like it's very super awesome, you know. So when you, for example, have something that you know, you winning or you did something right, and in Chinese market you put that 666, people will immediately like react to it, and it's like, okay, he gets me. It's great, you know. I want to play this game. Or they have something very, you know, let's say that understandable or translates to this culture. It will be much better. Of course, the normal version without the translations and localizations will work too, but it won't work as well as with localization. And the localization is not just language, but it's also like the content and graphic localization. So I can see, for example, in China market, if they have special graphics or maybe characters I have from Chinese culture, they're right away much better like acceptable. But of course, it depends where you're pushing. Or like some countries like Philippines, where the English proficiency is pretty big, very high. So they understand English and the culture, they understand the Western. That means that some vendor localization much will be needed at the beginning. But for longer term, for a longer shot, I will still localize them, and it will be much more acceptable for the for this region.
Yes, it's a good point. And also, according to the localization aspects, I know that there are a lot of dialects in China, and it divides for a lot of regions, and it has Cantonese language, etc. So, is it critical for the localization, or is simplified Chinese pretty enough?
I think the simplified Chinese will be pretty enough, right? Or maybe you're attacking some special regions, like they're using traditional Chinese, right? Like Hong Kong, right? But actually, of course, I think if you maybe I've never been to that. Maybe it's the question for Jennifer. Did you try to, like, I don't know, translate it to Cantonese or Sichuanese and maybe try to target these kind of people? Did it work?
I think this is actually a really good question. I would regard this as different steps. Like for most of the game in the very beginning when they acquire in the markets. So if they want to acquire like in a wide range, I think the simplified like Chinese would be really enough, because most of the people in China, no matter the mainland or even in Hong Kong, like some of them do understand the simplified Chinese. But yes, like if you already found out that a specific region in China like already get really great awareness of the app, and you still want to acquire more or deeper in that area, we can actually produce the part of the creative in that part of language. For example, Cantonese, Chinese, it will feel really authentic, like if I'm the local person there and I feel like, oh, this is the language that I'm familiar with, and this game also like give that feeling. So I would say we can try the creative like in that perspective, but I don't think it's quite essential in the very beginning to have the game to be localized in that different language, like for for the publisher or the developer. Like I know it's also a great work.
All right. The next one is, what are some of the best strategies you have seen in a growing of HC game in Asia? Dmitry, what about you?
So again, as I said, the market is huge, and probably right now we're speaking mainly about China. So if we speak about China, then definitely, especially if you just start to work with Chinese app stores, it's probably recommended to start with a local partner, right? So that's, let's say, the strategy: to find a reliable partner that can help you and guide you through, let's say, all the paperwork and help you. Once you have this experience, probably you can try it yourself. But again, you're gonna need a native speaker to localize, to run user acquisition campaigns. So first, let's say, advice would be for China, like start with a partner whom you can trust. Yeah. So if we are speaking about hyper casual games, right? So try to look at the portfolio, so to understand if the partner has worked previously with some successful titles in China and what were some key results.
All right.
Well, I can continue. Sorry. In China, as Jennifer said, there's so many Android markets. What is interesting that most of them take 50% commissions. Yeah, unlike 15 or 30 where I used to work. So it's quite often the case that developers just promote an APK file, right? And there are some new markets like TapTap where there is no commission at all. So that's such interesting markets, let's say, to consider.
Yeah, exactly. Agree with that. Yeah, start with some like no commission, like Android store for testing. That would be a good idea. Like if you are hesitate or you are not certain that which title you want to launch in China market, this would be a good way that to test in the very beginning. Also, actually, I have some new ideas, which is also observed from the market. I cannot promise that it would definitely be the be the success, but I just do think it could be a strategy to be referred to. So the first one is actually for the influencer marketing, like because in China market, actually the influencer marketing and or the whole like live stream and those part of business is growing extremely, like because of the e-commerce. But nowadays we also observed that the influencer marketing and also those live stream can take the conversion also for those brand titles, or even it's for awareness campaign. Like maybe it cannot immediately tell you the conversion. This is the point. But in the meantime, the organic growth of them, and also like since we do the paid media, always we needed to wait for the cold start. But if we do the influencer marketing, we rely on those influencers' follower bases. So which means if we ask them to post the contents for us, we don't need to worry about the cold start, because every of the contents can easily pass it, and they can just deliver directly to the audience that we want. So this is so far actually a good point that we think, and we already observed some great customers are trying that, like Lightrix. And also, for example, the official profile. I think this is the way for some of the gaming publisher, for those big group, they can actually think about if it's possible to do or create a official profile in some of the top media in Asia markets, in China, maybe on Douyin, on Tencent, or even in Line or Kakao, or even in some other SE markets, because this is the way they do have many titles, and they can actually share as much as the titles that they want under the profile of their posts. So they can do it really organically, like soft commercial. So they can decide which is the best feedbacks from the users of their game. Then they can invest more to that specific title for the user acquisition. So similar like what Dmitry mentioned, like APK package, like those no commission Android store. This is a way for testing which title would be best to fit for them to start on the Asian market. Yeah.
For me, well, there's many different strategies, of course, but for me, the main basic one will be to check what is your target region or country here in Asia. So I will understand first the users and see where I can start first, the best, right? So for example, the best practice we're separating the game, the mechanics or gameplay, different. For example, you have like a runner plus merge a game. So actually I will separate both and just see where the runners are popular, where the merge mechanics is popular, right? Then go to the next step, which is what is your game style, right? Which is like a drawing 2D style or maybe low poly, where this could be more acceptable. And then the third one will be checking the game theme, right? Like I mentioned, the Squid Game, is it popular there? You can see, you can check it, right? You can check it if this topic, if you check if this theme, it's talked on social media, on like Google, or maybe Baidu in China, is it like search a lot? Is it popular? So then once you actually find this target audience that you think is going to be the most suitable for your game, then you start testing with it, right? So and then because these people will be, this more target region audience will be more understandable for your game and your bugs, especially on early stages, right? And once you upgraded it, you check it, the data, and you see it's more or less pretty good, and you want to still improve it, checking the event tracking points and getting to some point that it's good profit, it's lucrative, then you can actually find another second or third target audience that you research and actually try with them and see if you can get also the positive like ROI or good LTV or ROS. I saw from a couple of developers from our program, they were very successful in one region, because this type of game was really popular there, and this topic or this graphic, and they reached 3 times the ROI or 300 ROI, however you say it, in 30-day retention. It was much longer, so we counted this as like really good. But then they changed the region, and they can barely make the ends meet. So it didn't have a positive ROI at all. So that's why I like researching, and you have quite a lot of data from many platforms, and from internet and everything you can gather and actually have that research and have a proper strategy or where to go and where is your target audience or region.
Any specific networks or channels you would like to name? Maybe some
obviously right now if we speak about China, we mention Ocean Engine, right? TikTok works quite well. And however, once you start to work with Ocean Engine, the first thing probably you're going to notice that it's available in Chinese. And even to get access to the English version, you will need some help because interface is in Chinese. Otherwise, it's probably the number one of the biggest one, let's say, also on our platform for China. Yeah, and TikTok, of course.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Just to add on, like for Ocean Engine, definitely the best traffic there would be the Chinese version of TikTok. We call it Douyin, and also from ByteDance, we also have the Toutiao. Actually, I would think about like for Chinese version TikTok, it would be like younger users, like 25 more or less. But for Toutiao, it maybe would grow to 30 or 35, this age range. So it would give you more opportunities, like how to define or how to find the correct audience. In the meantime, recently our agency are also trying to Tencent the platform, because we all know that everyone in China is using WeChat, and they're also using Tencent like platforms and also their apps. So actually, their audience is quite big, even bigger than ByteDance. But since like this is, I would say, a new platform for the hyper casual, this specific title. So we are also helping them and waiting them to grow like more better, like for the hyper casual game paid media.
Yeah, so actually there's a lot of ad networks or networks on the market. We're one of them, of course, too, but I will suggest to. But I guess I will still, of course, stick to popular channels as well and have a good like comparison. How is it? Like I know some of the people that just stick with one channel because it works for them, but I think sometimes it's good actually to check different platforms, different channels, and make it work. So we have the main channels like Facebook, Google, TikTok, or that is working in Asia. But also you can try some different channels, maybe something uncommon, like in Chinese market, like maybe you can find like the Chinese version of YouTube, like Bilibili, which is more for like younger people. And I know there's some cooperation with channels and with that network, with this channel that actually have a great possibilities, or maybe like some YouTube channel there in Vietnam that will actually help you actually get that users and reach that users. So I'll definitely use different unconventional or different channels, mainly just checking what people are using, or what is the demographic of the users. They're using that social media platforms, and how is the best way to actually reach them.
Yeah. And also regarding to Japan and Korea, they're also the Asian market. I would say the tier 1 Asian market. Mm-hmm. For Japan, I would suggest TikTok, of course, which is the video media, and also the Line, which is their local chatting channels. And also for Korea, maybe Kakao. This is also the local chatting. They do have great audience there. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So, guys, please tell me, what are the average CPIs you are seeing for the HC games in Asia?
Actually, this is a really hard question, I would say, because it's really different by the titles. But I also asked our agency's operation team, based on our previous org campaigns and based on our customers' campaign. So far, what we delivered on Ocean Engine, which is in China, not in specific vertical or specific titles. Normally it would be $0.5 for the CPI, I would say. And for Japan market, to be honest, Japan market is not a really good market for the hyper casual, because we all know like Japan markets, they do have much expensive cost there. So even sometimes they would hit to 20 US dollar for each in store. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think Korea and Japan are pretty tough markets and pretty expensive market for hyper casual. I know the revenue from ads is much bigger, but it's, let's say, much more risky, or you need to put much more money in it. So I'll definitely start with other markets. But yeah, the CPI is quite different. The wealth gap, or in Asia is pretty huge. Where in India, like CPI would be less than a cent, and Indonesia could be a couple cents. And yes, in Japan would be Korea might be close to dollar, even more, depending on this thing. But I think what you need to know that the CPI, it's not CPI in one country doesn't mean it's not the same. There's a couple of CPIs, let's say. Depending on a strategy. So you can either just go with broader audience and get the lower CPI and trying to get the most of the users. Maybe this strategy is good because your game is acceptable for everyone, and this is going to be good strategy. But maybe the data won't be so good, or maybe there is maybe the Squid Game that you're targeting special the audience, and then you're kind of making the strategy of making more precise UA, more targeted UA, and then the CPI will be much higher. But actually then you can see that all the metrics like retention and the LTV will be much higher too. So it'll be kind of worth it. So I think it depends on what kind of strategy and what type of game you have, and then you can actually see that CPI is actually worth it or not.
Yeah, exactly. So I can just confirm that Japan, Korea, even though CPIs could be higher, but again, you may consider that ad revenue will be also a bit higher. And in some other countries like Vietnam or India, CPI could be like 20 cents, so also cheaper. So.
Okay, I think the answer is simple about Japan. The Japanese market is wholly operated by Hideo Kojima, so that's it. There is no other place for other games. All right. So, given all the changes in privacy settings, how are hyper-casual games overcoming the challenges of tracking?
You mean the lack of IDFA? You mean this problem?
UID, yeah, in iOS, or generally CGPR changes. So in general.
There is many things to get adjusted to, I guess, when it comes to a new SK ad network from Apple, and starting from iOS 14.5. I think the people are slowly overcoming the challenges, or just accepting them, I guess, or just trying to deal with them. That if you're still kind of targeting broader audience, or the audience targeting, it's not that important, then you can still stick with it. But I know that people will just switch or just focus on Android. But of course, sometimes you cannot just let's say neglect the iOS and the revenue it gets. It's just basically the user acquisition is a little bit much higher, like a little bit higher than before, and you need to kind of take it in an account. So before you have much bigger revenue, but then you're trying to monetize better, or using different methods to actually overcome that difference and still be in a plus. When it comes to when it comes to iOS, mostly advertisers need to be understand the difference between the SK ad network and network reporting, that everything will be delay and lagged a bit, like the views, cross network attribution windows. So everything will take a little bit more time to actually gather the data, and sometimes it will be a couple days, maybe 5 days. So the whole campaign should be like a bit longer, and getting that, because you cannot count that people when the ATT that will pop up that window, that they will say like, oh yeah, you can follow me. Like right now there's around, I think, 30% or something people that accepted it, or just clicked too quickly, I guess. It's just like, get me to that game, like I want to play it, whatever it is. But still, so that's why you need to deal with that new reality, and try find your own way.
Well, speaking about new changes, that's probably the hottest topic this year, like Squid Games as well, as Krystian is mentioning. Well, I'm from Tenjin. It's an attribution provider, right? So definitely we help companies to measure and to get visibility. What we see on our platform is that, developers, publishers, they slightly increase their budgets towards Android, and a bit decrease the budgets allocated to iOS. With iOS 15, probably it's going to be a bit easier, and we'll get more visibility. We all need to learn how to work with conversion values. So yeah, it's let's say a changing period, right? We also see that CPIs are growing on iOS, and probably that's also another reason why Android is attracting more budgets right now, and that's also why alternative Android stores are on the rise, like Huawei and some other stores in China.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have like really good answers for overcoming the tracking, because we also had been asked by most of our customers like how we can help them on these kind of tracking challenges. But on the other aspects, we also have some notice from our customers. So we noticed that so far most of the game publishers, since they already accepting this tracking and transparency somehow, or they cannot get enough data like as they previously did, so they are trying to more focus on how to scale the awareness of their game, such as Supersonic and also the Chinese publisher Oharu. So they're changing their mind to another aspects somehow. So they're trying also to grow organic traffic, which is to avoid the transparency of the paid media. Yeah, I'm not sure if it would be the trend, but just sharing with you what we see previously. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the monetization. The hyper-casual gaming market requires a growth cycle, allowing developers to monetize the users very fast. So the question is, what is the main monetization strategies hyper-casual games are using in Asia?
Maybe I can start.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Did you start, Dmitry? Okay, so anyway, I don't. When it comes to hyper casual games, still, monetization in the game, like AA is still the best way, right? To do just ads. There are very little IAPs, let's say, but there's still some possibilities depending on your gameplay that you can add. Like before, it was like canceling the ads. AAP was still pretty popular in some games. But right now, there's also different things like loot boxes or special offers that actually, instead of, spending much more longer time in the game, you can actually do buy of these and actually get some extra boosts to the game. Like, like Go Nuts do it with the loot boxes. What I can see, it's pretty good, right? Doing pretty well. If some games actually decided on IAPs, they need to understand like different markets. Like in China, you have the ISBN. So I wouldn't try to apply for it, because I saw before the data how many ISBNs it was like last year into 2020, and it was like 1,300, so 1,300 something. So it's for all the games, it's very hard to do it. And like if you don't have a partner or in China, it's almost impossible. So you need to adjust. If you have IAPs, you need to just for ads and focus on that, and change the game more aggressive to the ads, let's say. And for example, in markets like China, you can actually do it. I've seen some of the Chinese games that have very aggressive ads, and they're kind of okay with it. The same like you can see like in Indian market, in India, where like IAPs is so low that not even consider it, and also the IAS is pretty aggressive, let's say. So you can actually adjust it to the how people or players, users are accepted of the ads, right? Like the acceptance of ads would be different in United States and India or China. So this you can actually see how is the preferences of the user.
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Yeah, please go on, Dmitry.
Dmitry.
Well, well, I guess the main idea of this topic today is to tell to our listeners that Asian market is quite interesting, right? And it's a place to be. And if, let's say, your game is successful in States and in Western markets, there are quite high chances that it will be successful in Asia. Of course, it's not probably so easy, to work on the Chinese market, but that's at the same time the biggest one, right? And with hyper casual games, we have an advantage. Because for us, it's easier to start. You do not need to invest so much into localization. And also, you need to publish your hyper casual game on App Store. So you will have to remove your apps, right? So you will mainly monetize with, not mainly, but 100% monetize with ads, because it's not so easy to get this number that Krystian was mentioning. It might take 3 or 6 months. So yeah, speaking about China, then definitely we're speaking about ad monetization. So you will have to remove the apps, but then again, we all know that hyper casual games, it's 90-95% are monetized with ads. So then once your, let's say, app is ready, you can start monetizing it in China using Pango, TikTok, and other networks.
Yeah, actually, I do have the same comments like from Dmitry and Krystian. Yeah, maybe some other like local Chinese hyper casual game publisher, they will also use some, really smart of them would use the offline way to do the monetization, like IP authorization or sideline products or VIP membership. But so far, it's really uncertain for the foreign marketers or foreign publishers to do such offline campaigns, no matter under the COVID situation and also under so far the government policies. Yeah.
Yes, I think they were very interesting and very difficult in some way questions, but despite this, just as a quick conclusion, that Chinese market is really great and brilliant market for hyper casual games. I think it was also a great panel discussion. So I would like to say thank you to everybody, to Jennifer, to Dmitry, and to Krystian. Thank you, guys, and let's publish hyper casual games in Chinese market and in Asian markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad,
Thanks a
and
lot.
thank you all, guys.
Thank you, Vlad.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, good luck. Preparing.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Likewise.